Hello, dear students. Today we'll speak about the history of dwellings, of building. And today's theme is from the history of human dwellings. Write down today's date and theme, please. From the history of human dwellings. In the beginning of our lesson, I should remember the words of Ralph Ellison. Many people lived in tents until they could afford to build a house. Many people lived in tents until they could afford to build a house. In the beginning of our lesson, please read the international words and try to get their meaning. Modern, construction, industrial, activities, origin, primitive, decoration, model, historic, finish, typical, column, center. You should get their meaning, значение. Before it, please use the vocabulary and translate them if you don't know. Modern, construction, industrial, activities, origin, primitive, decoration, model, historic, finish, typical, column, center. Read out the following words and memorize them. A dwelling. You should learn by heart these words, okay? A dwelling, жилище. A cave, пещера. To shelter, укрываться. To shelter, укрываться. A hut, хижина, лачуга. A hut. A branch, ветка, в этом случае имеется дерево, ветка, branch. A pole, столб, шест, жерть. Courtyard, внутренний двор. Courtyard, внутренний двор. A covered walk, аллея, a covered walk, аллея. Please write down these words and learn by heart. Also, еще, a pillar, колонна, столб, a pillar. A quarter, помещение, a quarter. Quarter. To plaster, штукатурить, to plaster, штукатурить. A clay, глина, a clay. A hearse, очаг, a hearse. A mud, глинистая масса, a mud, масса глинистая, mud. A castle, замок, a castle. Huge, огромный, huge. Huge, огромный. Dugout, землянка. Read out this phrase several times till you remember their meanings. Also, you should learn by heart this words combination. Первобытный человек, a primitive man. Первобытный человек, a primitive man. Two branches of trees, кроны деревьев. The branches of trees, кроны деревьев. The Ice Age, ледниковый период. The Ice Age, ледниковый период. The Old Stone Age, каменный век. The Old Stone Age, каменный век. To feel a need, чувствовать потребность. To feel a need, чувствовать потребность. At first, в начале, сначала. At first, в начале. A primitive man, the branches of trees, the Ice Age, the Old Stone Age, to feel a need, at first. We will meet with this words combination when we will read the text. Also, еще, much later, намного позже, therefore, поэтому, inside and outside, внутри и снаружи, inside and outside. A wicker basket work, плетение из прутьев, a wicker basket work. On the other hand, с другой стороны, on the other hand, at least, по крайней мере, on the other hand, с другой стороны, at least, по крайней мере. Match the English words with their Russian equivalents. Maybe you should use the vocabulary if you don't know the translation of these words. A castle, a covered work, to plaster, a house, huge, a pillar, a cave, a quarter, hut, to shelter, a courtyard, a pole, a branch. Очаг, столб, колонная, помещение, хижина, внутренний двор, аллея, ветка, огромный, столб, замок, укрывать, пещера, штукатурить. Мы перевели эти слова. And you have these words with their translation. A castle, a covered work, to plaster, a house, huge, a pillar, a cave, a quarter, a hut, a shelter, courtyard, a pole, branch. Give the three forms of the following words. For example, to spend, spend. Вторая форма spent. Третья форма spent. В такой форме пишем слова to spend, to build, to construct, to look, to find, to begin, to take, to lose, to learn, to grow, to do, to try, to choose, to know, to run, and to sell. And also you should know the translation of these words. To spend, to build, to construct, to look, to find, to begin, to take, to lose, to learn, to grow, to do, to try, to choose, to know, to run, and the last word it is to sell. And now let's read the text from the history of human dwellings. Most of time of a modern man is spent within the walls of some buildings. Houses are built for dwelling. Large buildings are constructed for industrial purposes. Theaters, museums, public and scientific institutions are built for cultural activities of the people. The purpose of modern buildings differs widely, but all of them originate from the efforts of primitive men to protect themselves from stormy weather, wild animals, and human enemies. Protection was looked for everywhere. In prehistoric times, men looked for protection under the branches of trees. Some covered themselves with skins of animals to protect themselves from cold and rain, but others settled in caves. When the Ice Age had passed, Europe remained very cold, at least in winter, and so the people of the Old Stone Age had to find some warm and dry place to shelter from bad weather. They chose caves, dwelling places that storm and cold could not destroy. On the walls of their caves ancient people painted pictures. Such decorated caves are found in Europe, Asia, and also Africa. When man began to build a home for himself, caves were imitated in stone structures. Trees were taken as a model for huts built of branches. Skins were raised on poles and formed tents. Primitive stone structures, huts, and tents are the earliest types of human dwellings. They were lost in the prehistoric past, but serve as prototypes for structures of later historic times. In the country, ordinary people lived in simple one-story cottages, which didn't differ much from the mud and stone huts of an earlier age. The rich people in the country, on the other hand, built huge castles with thick walls and narrow windows. These castles were built not only as dwellings, but also to stand up to enemy attacks and to be strong bases in time of war. In the days of early civilization, when men had learned how to build simple houses for their families, they began to feel a need to have a number of different kinds of houses in the one place. At first, the difference was mainly in size. The chief or leader had a larger hut or a tent than the rest of the people. Much later, when men began to build towns, they grew up different between town houses and country houses. The streets in towns were very narrow, and there was not much place for building within the town walls, and therefore houses had to build higher than they were in the country. A typical town house consists of a shop opening on the street where the man did his work or sold his goods, with a kitchen behind and a bedroom above. The earliest houses, of which sometimes something, I'm sorry, is known as those of ancient Egypt. They were built of bricks dried in the sun. Some of them were built around a courtyard or garden with the rooms opening into it. Greek houses, too, had a courtyard in the middle, and around the courtyard ran a covered walk, its ceiling supported by pillars. There were special women's quarters, usually upstairs on the second story. Uh, in Rome, bricks were used for building, and houses were often finished with plaster over bricks on both inside and outside walls. The center of family life was a garden courtyard surrounded by columns and with the rooms opening out into it. Answer the following question, please. Where does a man spend most of his time? What is the aim of building houses? What buildings are built for cultural activities of people? Why did primitive man build their houses? Where did primitive man look for protection? What was the weather like after the Ice Age? Why were caves chosen? Where did the ancient people paint their pictures? Where can you find such decorated caves? Where were caves imitated? What was taken as a model for huts built of branches? Where were skins raised? What is the earliest time of human dwellings? What was lost in the prehistoric past? Where did people live in the country? What did rich people build in the country? What did these castles serve? When did a man feel a need to have a number of different kinds of houses in one place? What was the dwelling of the chief like? Why was it necessary to build higher houses in towns than in countries? What was a typical town house like? What material did ancient people use in Egypt for building? What were the houses like in Greece? What materials were used in Rome? Where was the center of family life concentrated? Were the earliest houses in Britain small? What was in the center of their houses? How did the light come into early English houses? Please answer these questions using the text. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.